You're listening to the Hella Well with Danielle show, a podcast taking women of color on a journey exploring all things wellness and travel related. We're all about showing you how to put on your oxygen mask first and creating lasting self-care habits that will free you to travel the world and live the life you truly desire, and not one you have to fake loving. I'm your host, Danielle Washington. Now let's buckle up and start this journey. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Hello Well with Danielle podcast. I'm your host, Danielle Washington, and it's Sunday. Sundays are days that most of us kind of towards the end of Sunday, like me, Sunday afternoon, not really messing with it. I'm not happy. When I had that day job where I would go in Monday to Friday, Sunday afternoon, Sunday evenings, I get this tight chest pain and my stomach would hurt. I start feeling anxious because I knew tomorrow was Monday. And that meant I had to go back to work. I had to go back to a place where I hated most of the people. I had to go back to a place where I had a boss that was like not even low-key shading on me. My boss literally was actively going out of his or her way to make my life miserable. And so I don't know if you've ever done this, but have you ever searched, my job is slowly killing me? Or what to do if your job is slowly killing you? If you have, don't worry, you're not alone. I've been there. And I can actually say one of the jobs I had in my life literally was killing me to the point where I was having all these medical issues. I've had friends who are like, just quit. Like, why are you staying? Just quit the job. It's not worth it. But for so many reasons that I'll get into a little bit later, I wouldn't quit. And so I would just stay in a job that little by little, year after year after year, was there for several years. It was slowly killing me until I decided to make a difference and make a change. And I'll tell you guys a little bit later about why I was changed. But like, I just really wanted to have this conversation because I know there's so many people out there that think their job is slowly killing them or their job is just killing them. And if you think that you're alone, you're not. Because there's about 85% of the people around the world that really feel unhappy in their job. There was a poll done in 2017 by Gallup, and they figured out that 85% of the people globally feel unhappy in their job. And think about that. That means there's only 15% of people globally that are like, I'm happy at my job. It's Monday and I'm super excited. Whereas most people think it's Sunday evening or it's Monday and I'm like, oh, my alarm goes off. Oh my God, the day, it's going to be horrible. And we're dreading it. And it's easy to dread your job because if you think about it, it's probably the biggest time sucker. Like you spend most of your life at your job. And if you have to go into a day job Monday through Friday, if you're working longer days than that, some of us are working 40 hours, some of us are working 80 hours. It takes up a lot of your time and energy. And if you're unhappy, like, of course, if there's a high potential of wanting or not wanting to kill, like, not like your job wants to kill you. Not like the employer is like, I'm going to kill this person. But if you aren't intentional about how you act and how you show up at the job, yeah, it's pretty easy for the job to start killing you. And that's why I wanted to have this conversation. I want to discuss, how do you deal with the feeling of my job is killing me? And what do you do? Because reality, we can't all quit. There are other options that can help. And I wanted to kind of discuss that because I can say I've done all the above. I have quit a job that I felt was killing me because the job was 100% card carrying killing me. And I had friends who were just like, you got to get out of there. You got to get out of there. I've had situations where I didn't quit. And so I wanted to kind of discuss today, what do you do when you feel like your job's killing you? But like even before that, like, how do you even know? Because there are signs. And we hella like disregard most of the signs. And that feeling of, just like that, I was talking about that before, like the Sunday night feeling of like, oh my God, I'm stressed. The alarm goes off on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, or that the moment on Friday, you're like, oh my God, it's Friday at 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. and I'm free. I am free. I can get the F out. I can like breathe for a second. And then you go back to, Sunday night or Monday morning and that feeling of not being able to breathe. So there are signs that you should be looking for of like to tell you like your job may be killing you. And one of them obviously is like dreading to go into work. Pretty simple, easy. You have that feeling. I feel like for me, one of the signs that I saw was like, no opportunity for advancement. So I was in a job where I was at the highest level to the point where I was at the highest level. They're like, oh, sorry, we think you do an amazing job, but we can't pay you anymore. And there's no advancement. And so it's like, and when you have no motivation to be there, it's real easy. Like if you're not feeling challenged or it's too easy or you're just not seeing any growth or any potential to go any higher, yeah, that can kind of slowly kill your psyche on a whole nother level. Thing I also noticed for me when I was having issues with, my job that was literally killing me was that I was physically finding like these random ailments that I was coming up with. I had all these things that were coming up with. I would have headaches constantly. I had, all these other things that would show up in my body. And at the time, I didn't realize how much that our emotions and the stress that we're going through affects and shows up in our body. And I talk about this all the time with my Reiki clients or, my Reiki students is that our emotions show up physically. So when you're having that like that back pain, like especially the upper back pain, oftentimes that's something emotional that you like weren't dealing with in your past, or you're having a situation that you may have dealt with in your past that's coming up that you need to readdress. And there's all these different things like, you have pain in your knees, you're not being flexible, headaches. Like there's so many ways that our emotions show up in our body. And when you're stressed out, oftentimes at a job, if your job is making you unhappy, if you have that coworker who every day, every morning you see them, you're like, oh man, if I could just say what I want to say. I think that's part of it. I think oftentimes we're in these jobs where, especially as women of color, like we feel like we have to code switch. We have to come in and put on our mask and look, I'm the happy girl. I'm not an angry Black woman. You can trust me. Oh wait, you don't listen to my opinions and you disregard me. And Becky over there says the exact same thing I said and you listen to her, but it was if I said it, it was if no one said anything. And yeah, but I'm okay with that because I have a good paying job. Nah, this stuff is freaking stressful and it's exhausting. It's exhausting to code switch. It's exhausting to be disregarded. It's exhausting to play a fine line to make sure that you're not seen as threatening. You're not seen as angry. And it's hard. And it's difficult. I don't know about you, but it was so difficult to the point where, dude, I would just drink. I would come home and my saving grace was I would drink or I would smoke some weed. I'm in California, so weed is legal. So I would smoke weed or take an edible or I would go through bottles of wine like it was water. And that was my coping mechanism. But I didn't realize that that was one of the signs that, maybe this is not the job or the place that I need to be. And so, recognizing when you're using, alcohol or drugs or sex or all these different other things as a way to cope, that's a sign that maybe your job is potentially killing you. Other thing I noticed was that the job was affecting my personal life. I didn't have time for myself. I was definitely 100% card carrying, projecting out on everybody. I was angry. Couldn't be angry at the job. So I was angry at other people in my life. I was lashing out on people who I loved and it kind of sucked. And I don't think I really recognized it at first. I was lashing out on all these people, but I was lashing out on them because the people I wanted to lash out on, I couldn't because I didn't want to get fired. And, again, toting that line of, I don't want to get fired, but I want to say what I want to say and not in me being who I am, holding my tongue and not being able to speak my truth. is difficult. And it's something that I have struggled with in corporate America, which is why I pretty much got out of corporate America, because it's like, this ain't for me. I know me. I know that this is not an environment that I work in well. I can work in well. I have thrived. I've had amazing jobs. I have, done great things and gotten paid very well. But I realized that when I'm in certain situations, and not all corporate jobs this way, but like certain jobs I've had in the past have literally have sucked the freaking life out of me. And that's if you feel like your life is literally being sucked out of you, that again is a sign that maybe it's time to get a new job. Maybe it's time to reevaluate your current situation and how you're doing your job, and reevaluate how you're living your life, because we choose to stay in these jobs. We choose how we show up at the job. And it's not that the job is like it's this way or that way and you can't change anything. You have choices. But like when don't pay attention to those choices, you don't pay attention to the signs of feeling like you're on an island in an office, which I felt so many times. Like I just felt like I was in a place where no one got me. I am the only black woman in the company, or I'm the only black woman on my team. And people just don't get what it means to be a woman of color in the corporate world. And oftentimes we are that face, that only person, or maybe you might be lucky you have another person. But it's easy to feel like you're on an island by yourself, just trying to get through. And that's a sign when you're feeling that way that, again, maybe their job is slowly killing you. And I guess other things I would consider is like insomnia, which is something I struggled with as well. Feeling like the loss and detachment. Like I had no joy. Like I had a job that I got to travel the world on someone else's dime. I, got to go to all these amazing concerts, and I got paid extraordinarily well. And it was in a field where I was doing exactly what I said I wanted to do, but there was no joy behind it. There was no joy in what I was doing. There's no joy when I get up to go to work. There's no joy being around my coworkers. And I was ignoring the signs that my job was literally killing me, that it wasn't the right job for me, even though I was getting paid well, even though I had all these amazing perks. People are like, how could you want to leave this job? Or how could you keep saying this job is killing you and you're unhappy when you have all these great things? You're like going to Japan and Germany, or, you're going to Amsterdam and all these different places. But what people didn't realize is like, there was no joy. I was detached. Like I wasn't just doing what I do to get by. Like I think that's another sign, is like sometimes when you find yourself just doing the bare minimum just to get by, like in your performance, because that's not who I am as a person. I think for me, even though I wanted to just do the bare minimum, it's not in my DNA to actually just do the bare minimum. Even if I hate where I am, it ain't me. Like I think it would kill me even more to try to do just the bare minimum to get by. And so I still would always do my best and perform the best as I can, but it didn't mean that it was like I was doing my best, but it was still internally a struggle. And finding it difficult just to connect with my coworkers, difficult to find the joy. That was a sign. And again, I was just missing the sign. Another sign I think that people often forget is that they have how would I say this? Finding it difficult to disconnect from your job. And that was a sign. With that job in particular, or a couple jobs, because I think I can say I think a couple jobs were killing me, but the one job in particular literally had me physically in the hospital, physically wanting to commit suicide. And I'm not joking about that. In so many different ways, it just was day by day by day, to where so many people were like, you gotta leave the job. But I wasn't able to disconnect from the job. I left that job when I finally did quit, because I did quit the job, with 300 hours of vacation days, because I never was able to disconnect. I was working 24/7, constantly working on for the weekend. I was working early in the morning. I was working in the evening. I wasn't disconnecting. And when you're not able to disconnect from the job, again, how are you able to rest and recharge your body if you're not allowing yourself the time to step away and remove yourself from the job and kind of giving yourself that space that you need? And so that was a huge, huge, huge sign for me when I realized that I wasn't really able to, well, that my job was killing me. So what did I do? So before I quit, because I couldn't quit right away because, again, I needed the job. I had rent. I lived in San Francisco, and rent ain't cheap in San Francisco. If you know anything about San Francisco, rent is definitely not cheap. And so I couldn't just quit the job. And I think that's part of the reason why people stay in these jobs. Like, yeah, 85% of these people are around the world are unhappy in the job. And you think, okay, well, if you're unhappy, why are you staying? We stay for so many different reasons. I know for me, a huge reason why I stayed was because I felt unworthy to get another job. I felt like literally any job that I had, this mad imposter syndrome, like, oh my God, I fooled them. They think that I'm smart and I can do all these amazing things, and they don't realize that I'm just a fraud. And I felt like a fraud. And it's odd that I felt like a fraud because I had years of experience of doing what I've been doing. Yet at the same time, I always had this imposter syndrome, like they're gonna find out I'm not as good as they think I am. So I fooled these people. Like I can't leave because if I leave, I don't think I'm gonna be able to fool other people. And so I felt so unworthy of getting another job, or worthy of finding a job that valued me, that I felt comfortable. I didn't feel, this dread of going in. I didn't feel like I needed to drink a bottle of wine a day just to get through. I didn't feel the toxic, feel like the environment was so toxic, or that I was on an island. I didn't feel worthy of finding that situation. And so I stayed. I stayed for a really, 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 really long time. And I can say I have done this over and over and over. Not in every job. I've had amazing jobs where I didn't feel this way, but that feeling unworthiness and imposter syndrome, and like you're not worthy of getting something better, makes many of us stay. And I can see that's why 85% of us stay in unhappy jobs. Another reason a lot of us stay is because of responsibility. It's like you maybe have someone you're taking care of. And for me, I had rent, and I couldn't afford not to have a job in San Francisco. So having that responsibility forced me, in my mind, forced me that I needed to stay in this position because, I have responsibilities. I take care of other people, or I have all these different things. And so, again, that's another reason why a lot of people stay. Good salary, good salary can get you to stay for a lot of things, like until you feel the paycheck is not worth it. When you feel like the paycheck is not worth it and you'd rather be broke, that is hella, hella, hella of a sign that it is time to bounce from the job, because your job is most likely killing you. But, a lot of people feel like, the paycheck is just good, I'm just getting by, I'm just, doing what I need to do to survive. And when you're in survival mode, and that, I guess that's a good reason also, like another reason why a lot of people stay is because they're living in survival mode. I think when I got out of survival mode, or I allowed myself to start getting out of survival mode and knowing that I deserved and was worthy of more, was when I was able to be like, nah, something's got to change. But, good salary, and you're getting paid really, really well, it's hard to leave because you're like, well, will I get the same amount of money? And then there's that fear of the unknowns. Like, this devil, you go somewhere else. Is it going to be worse? Are you going to get paid less? It's like, so that you're getting paid well, the drama that you're dealing with, and that fear of the unknown, the fear of not getting enough pay, or even worse, like you've worked your way up to this seniority level, and then what if you go somewhere else and you're like back down and having to work your way back up? all these are reasons why so many of us stay in jobs that we're unhappy with. And yes, you can quit. I quit. Like literally one of the jobs I'm talking about, I got to the point where I quit. Before I quit, I realized that there's certain things I could do. And so one of the things I did was I was like, I can choose my work-life balance. And I didn't have a work-life balance because again, I was constantly working 7 days a week, all hours. Someone called, someone texted, even when I was on vacation, I air quote vacation because I never really was on vacation. I'm like, I'm there, I'm here, I'm available because that's how I trained them. I trained everyone at the job to think that Danielle is constantly available at all hours, every single day, no matter what. It could be Christmas, and literally it could be Christmas, and I was available to do whatever needed to be done. And that's on me. That's on me because I trained them. And because I realized I had trained them to have this concept that I'm always available, I can also retrain them to realize that I'm not always available. I'm always around. And so one of the ways I did it was through taking dance classes. And so I have certain days where I did, like, I think it was Mondays were Vogue dancing, which I love Vogue. I miss Vogue. Shout out to Jaquise in San Francisco for one of the best Vogue classes ever at Dance Mission. So I took a Vogue class on Mondays. I did tango on Wednesdays. And I think I did another dance class. I can't remember what it was, like maybe Fridays, whatever. But like I had certain days. And so I would tell my boss, like, on these days, I'm out at this hour because I have a dance class. I have a class. I have a commitment. I had French class as well. It was like I had these commitments. And so that allowed me to push myself to set a boundary and a barrier with the job to say that these hours, these days, I'm gone. These hours, these days, I'm finally off the clock, and I'm removing myself from this space. And that was really helpful. And, that's one way I went about doing it. So creating an active boundary with your job is a huge boundaries and balances, like work-life balances, saying that when I'm on vacation, when I'm here, I'm here. But when I'm on vacation, I'm out. Don't call me because I'm not working. And if you set them up to recognize that I'm not available during these hours, I'm not available during these days, and don't show up. Like, you're not available, you're not available unless it's like an emergency. I mean, I'm not telling you to do like the craziest thing, but unless it's an emergency, don't show up. And you're training them that these are my boundaries and these are the balances this is the work-life balance that I need. It is a way to help you let the job not kill you. Because we talk about, the job is killing me. We allow the job to kill us. We allow the job to stress us out. We allow the job to, trigger, our cholesterol, levels, and it gives us that fight or flight. You can have like blood pressure issues, which I was having high blood pressure issues. You're going to have irregular heartbeats, obesity, all these different things because we allowed ourselves not to set a boundary. We allowed ourselves not to set a work-life balance. And it's choice. Period. It's a choice. Another thing that helped me out with, me allowing the job to slowly kill me was when I went to therapy. I started doing therapy, and that helped a lot. Being able to talk out why I could stand certain people, why I was frustrated, why I felt this imposter syndrome, and being able to talk out those situations with someone else that wasn't in the job, that someone else that was removed from everything and didn't have an investment in this, situation, was really helpful to me to help not allow this job to kill me. Doing Reiki is another great way. Reiki is the Japanese form of stress reduction and relaxation, and it gives your body a time to pause and breathe. It helps remove some of the negative emotions within your body, and that's why I love Reiki as a way to just kind of woosah and relax, and it promotes healing. And I think that's a great way to kind of adding therapy, creating boundaries, and doing something like Reiki or even exercising. And that's why dancing for me was healing. And so that was not only a boundary, but dancing for me also was a form of healing that helps me heal my body and my mind, because we need that. And I think it's really important. And, the other thing is, you should also ask yourself, and I should have said this probably earlier, I gave a bunch of signs of, reasons why, to check in to see if these are certain things that you're experiencing. If you're experiencing these things, maybe there's signs that your job is slowly killing you or you're slowly allowing yourself to kill you. So ask yourself, are you feeling these signs? And if you're not, or if you aren't, if you are, is it killing you enough to where you need to quit? Or is it killing you enough? Are you allowing your job to kill you enough, or slowly kill you to where you just need a break? And I've done that where I just needed a break. I just literally needed a mental break. And even, it's not a corporate job. I had my entrepreneur job and it was killing me. And it was a company that I created, and I'm letting this company that I created kill me. But I needed a break. I needed a pause because I hadn't set the right boundaries. I hadn't, set a balances that I needed. I wasn't in therapy. I wasn't doing something like Reiki. I wasn't dancing. And it wasn't like I can blame someone else because I'm working for me. So again, who's causing all these things? I had to look internally. And so it wasn't like I can quit because that literally was my only form of, salary. And so I had to, stick with the job because it was something that I had created. But at the same time, so I wasn't quitting, but I did need a break. I needed a break. I needed a pause. That's when I went to Bali and kind of just ghosted the world. And I needed to reconnect with myself. I needed to meditate. That's when I got into yoga. And I think that we don't always need to quit, but you may just need a pause. And so you may just need a break. And that's why vacations are great. There were 768 million vacation days went unused, I think, in 2018. That's a lot of unused vacation days. And that's only in America. And so I encourage you, those PTO days are important. Take them, take them, take them. Because when we allow ourselves to step away, relax, recharge, it allows our mind and our body and our spirits an opportunity to heal, to recharge. I mean, we are like our phones. Your phone can't go on, for days without being connected back to, the battery plug. So that's like you. You need to allow yourself time to recharge. And oftentimes when we're at these jobs and we're constantly going, we're feeling like we're on an island. We're taking our work home. We're not having boundaries. We're just doing the bare minimum. We're in survival mode. We're not allowing ourselves that time to relax, recharge, that promotes that kind of pause and break that we need to be able to be part of that 15% that actually really like their job. So, and then of course, what you can do? You can quit. You can quit. And quitting isn't failure. And I wanted to mention that quitting a job because it feels like it's killing you, it's not failure. Quitting a job knowing that you are worthy of finding a good salary. You are worthy of finding a job that makes you happy. You are worthy of just having everything you desire. And having that experience and feeling that you are of worthiness is a huge difference. And I know it's not always easy to feel that way, but I always feel like the universe will provide us what we need. And in the job that I felt like that was killing me, I needed it to that to happen. I know it sounds strange to say, but I needed the job. I needed a job that I felt literally pushed me to the breaking point where I had no other choice but to leave, to feel comfortable, to move out of my comfort zone and start my own business. And being pushed even further with the one where, I had my own business and then I needed the break. I needed that break to push me to the another comfort zone to realize that, okay, this is great at what I'm doing, But I meant to do so much more. And that's when I got into, my healing path. And that's when I got into doing Reiki and, meditation and all these different other things. But it's through those breaks. It's through those boundaries. It's through quitting. Like when I've quit two major jobs. I quit once to move to Italy. I was getting the job. I was, getting good salary. I was working my way up. And I quit to go to Italy. And that was huge for me because I was like, oh my God, I'm not just quitting because I found this other job. I'm quitting because I'm moving somewhere else. The second time was when I quit this job. I didn't have another job. I didn't have anything else in mind. I didn't even know what I wanted to do. But all I knew is this was not the place that I needed to be. I knew in my heart of my hearts that I had allowed this job to kill me to the point where I wanted to take my own life. And if that was at a point where it's like, nah, this is not worth it. It's not worth my joy. It's not worth my happiness. It's not worth me projecting onto people I love. It's not worth me spending hella money on wine that wasn't really working in the first place. It wasn't worth the salary. It wasn't worth the trips. And that's something you have to ask yourself. Is it to the point where it's not worth the paycheck? Is it not worth the perks? Is it not worth the seniority? Or is it that I just need a pause? Or that I just need to make boundaries? Or that I just need to add something in like Reiki into my life? So I encourage you, if you're Googling, my job is killing me. I can't stand my coworkers. This place is toxic and it's like literally sucking the soul out of me. Check out the signs. Are you feeling these things? What are different things you can do about it? And then know that you're worthy of acting on whatever you need to do to pour into you because you are a priority. Because let's keep it real. If you were to die tomorrow, that job will just find someone else to replace you and they'll keep pushing. I used to think that, oh my God, they can't live without me. So I had to keep doing. But no, that you were replaceable. You were replaceable like that. And so don't ever get it twisted, think that you're not replaceable and you have to stay because they need you. The only thing you need to do is know that you are worthy enough to pour into you. Because if you are not well and you end up having high blood pressure, a stroke, a heart attack, or all these different things because you let a job, you allowed the job to slowly kill you, they're going to be okay without you. But you're not going to be okay. And I need you to be okay because you're worthy. So that's what I got for you this week. I hope you guys enjoy this. Have a wonderful week. If the job is killing you, you got choices. I love you, and I'll see you next week. Ciao. Thanks for joining us this week on the Hello Well with Danielle show. Make sure to visit our website, hellowellwithdanielle.com, where you can subscribe to our show on iTunes, Spotify, and Amazon Music and never miss an episode. Also, you can follow us on social media at Hello Well with Danielle on Facebook and Instagram, and Hello Well Danny on Twitter. And if you like hella love the show and got some good nuggets out of it, know that I'm not too proud to ask for you to please leave a rating or review on iTunes so that we can continue to expand our reach and help other women of color. Again, thanks so much for listening, and I hope to see you next week. Ciao.